Chosen one, this message is not finding you by accident, and it is not arriving at a random moment in your life. It is coming because your spirit is already positioned to receive what heaven has decided to reveal. This moment is unlike any other you have known because it is not built on anticipation, striving, or hope for change. It is built on declaration. Heaven is not asking your permission, and it is not waiting for your readiness. God has already declared your rank from the throne, and what is being revealed now is what has long been established in the unseen. This is why the phrase royal energy resonates so deeply within you. It is not a metaphor, not poetic language, and not a motivational concept. It is revelation, truth being unveiled at the right time. Royal energy is the spiritual reality of who you are, not something you are becoming, but something you have always carried. The atmosphere around you has already shifted, which is why familiar patterns no longer feel comfortable, old cycles no longer satisfy, and previous versions of yourself feel distant. A crown not made by man, not given by systems, titles, or applause, now rests upon you. This crown carries authority, not decoration. It carries weight, not ego. And because it is divine, it cannot be taken, challenged, or revoked. You are being called to remain until the end of this message because this is not information, it is alignment. Something in you is locking into place. Let this declaration seal itself in your spirit. If you feel this stirring, affirm it with amen, and engage fully, because what heaven is declaring is already done, and what God has established cannot be undone. There is a shift taking place that cannot be measured by human logic or seen with natural eyes, yet it is more real than anything you can touch. Heaven has spoken, and when God releases a decree, creation responds without hesitation. An unseen alignment is now unfolding around you, repositioning people, timing, opportunities, and outcomes in ways you may not immediately recognize, but will soon experience. This is why resistance that once stood firmly against you is dissolving without confrontation. You are no longer required to fight battles that were never meant to be won through effort. The universe itself is responding to the authority of God's word over your life. Everything around you is beginning to recognize what the spirit realm has always known about you. Restoration is whispering through dimensions you cannot see, repairing what was broken, retrieving what was delayed, and restoring what was stolen, not temporarily, but permanently. This is not a seasonal breakthrough designed to excite you and then abandon you. This is the revelation of an eternal identity stepping into time. The shift did not begin in your circumstances. It began in your positioning. That is why your response to chaos has changed, your tolerance for dysfunction has lowered, and your desire for clarity has intensified. You are not becoming passive, you are becoming established. When heaven speaks, things must align. When heaven decides, resistance loses its authority. You may notice that explanations feel unnecessary now, because authority does not require justification. This invisible shift is quiet, but it is irreversible. What has been set in motion cannot be undone, because heaven has already spoken. The intensity of your battles was never proof of weakness. It was confirmation of rank. Every struggle you endured, every delay that tested your faith, and every opposition that seemed excessive was directly tied to a crown that remained hidden for a time. Warfare surrounded you not because you were vulnerable, but because you were valuable. There has always been a royal signature coded into your soul, and the spiritual realm recognized it long before people did. This is why opposition followed you so closely, even in seasons where you were simply trying to survive. Darkness does not waste resources on what carries no authority. The attacks were strategic, not random, because the goal was never just to hurt you. It was to delay your unveiling. But delay does not equal denial. The crown could not be removed, only concealed until the appointed time. Now the unveiling is taking place, and with it comes understanding. You are not unlucky, overlooked, or behind. You are restrained because your release would disrupt systems that thrived on limitation. The unveiling of your rank in the spirit realm has altered how resistance approaches you. What once confronted you aggressively now retreats quietly because authority does not argue. It governs. You may feel a new weight in your presence, a gravity that changes how people respond, listen, and react. This weight is not pressure. It is authority settling into embodiment. The battles refined your discernment, sharpened your obedience, and strengthened your endurance. They were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to reveal you. Now that the crown is no longer hidden, the war shifts. You are no longer fighting for identity, you are enforcing it. Royal energy is not force, dominance, or control. It is authority that operates from rest. It is the ability to command without speaking, to reign without striving, and to influence without manipulation. This is why people sense something different about you, but struggle to articulate what it is. Royal energy is not loud, yet it is undeniable. It enters a room and changes the atmosphere without announcement. It does not chase attention. It attracts alignment. This authority is not self-produced. It is God-confirmed. Heaven confirms royalty not to inflate ego, but to activate legacy. You were never crowned for applause. You were crowned for assignment. Royal energy carries clarity, composure, and discernment. It moves deliberately, not urgently. This is why you no longer feel compelled to explain yourself, prove your worth, or compete for space. Your authority is inherent, not borrowed. Your words now carry weight because they are rooted in alignment, not emotion. Your decisions ripple further because they are infused with intention, not fear. Royal energy does not strive to be seen. It is recognized because it is authentic. God only activates this level of authority when character has been refined enough to carry it without corruption. That is why your process was long and the pruning was painful. Now you are learning how to lead without noise, influence without force, and reign without resistance. Royal energy is mastery over self before mastery over realms, and because it is divine, it cannot be revoked by opinion, rejection, or circumstance. The rejection you experienced was never punishment. It was protection disguised as loss. Lesser spaces rejected you because they were incapable of sustaining the weight of what you carry. God was not removing opportunity. He was preventing limitation. Every closed door redirected you away from environments that would have benefited from your gift while suffocating your calling. What felt like abandonment was actually divine guidance, steering you away from small assignments, small thinking, and small futures. The throne required preparation, and preparation required separation. Had you been accepted too early, you would have been shaped by systems that honored performance but ignored purpose. Divine timing is not delay, it is preservation. God shielded you from premature exposure, unhealthy alliances, and platforms that would have drained your oil before your identity was fully anchored. Rejection forced you inward, where identity was forged without applause and confidence was built without validation. It taught you discernment, patience, and obedience. Now you understand that not every open door is divine, and not every closed door is denial. Some doors close because the room is too small for who you are becoming. The throne was never meant to be rushed. It was meant to be inherited. What once rejected you will not recognize you now because you no longer seek permission to enter rooms. You are sent. Divine rejection did not remove you from destiny. It aligned you with it. There was a moment in the unseen realm when your name was called, not casually, but formally, in the order of divine authority. Scripture speaks of heaven as a courtroom, and this imagery is not symbolic, it is functional. Heaven governs through decrees, and your life has been subject to deliberation, not delay. In that courtroom, your rank was declared, not debated. What God released into time was not a suggestion, but a ruling. This is why your identity has always felt anchored to something higher than circumstances, even when your environment contradicted it. Your assignment was embedded into your spirit before you were ever introduced to it consciously. This explains why you always felt different, why conformity felt unnatural, and why shrinking yourself felt like betrayal. There were repeated attempts to silence you, to box you in, to define you by limitation instead of calling. But containment only works when heaven agrees, and heaven never did. The decree released over your life has been echoing through time, waiting for the moment when alignment and maturity could carry it without distortion. Now, the light of royalty is becoming visible. Not because you announced it, but because heaven illuminated it. What was once sensed is now seen. What was once resisted is now respected. The courtroom has ruled, and that ruling stands across realms. No appeal, no revision, no cancellation. Your rank is not aspirational. It is established. And because it is established, everything that encounters you must now respond to it, whether consciously or unconsciously. You have crossed into a timeline where nothing is accidental anymore. Random steps have ended, and wandering seasons have closed. Every movement you make now carries authority, even when it appears ordinary. This is what prophetic weight feels like. It turns routine into alignment and intention into impact. Your words no longer fall to the ground unused. They carry consequence. Conversations shift after you speak. Decisions echo longer than you expect. Legacy is embedded in your posture, not just your plans. You are no longer reacting emotionally to life. You are responding revelation ally. Discernment now leads where impulse once did. Validation has lost its grip on you because confirmation has taken root within. This new timeline is not heavier, it is clearer. Confusion is being replaced with precision and uncertainty with quiet confidence. You may notice that you no longer rush, explain excessively, or seek agreement before acting. Heaven is partnering with your obedience, not your anxiety. This is what happens when authority matures, it simplifies. Your life is no longer defined by survival or recovery, but by governance and stewardship. You are not guessing what to do next. You are sensing when to move and when to stand. Prophetic weight does not demand speed. It demands accuracy. And because you are aligned, your steps are now ordered, measured, and effective. This is not pressure. It is partnership. The fire you endured was never meant to destroy you. It was designed to clarify you. Delay acted as a forge, shaping patience, endurance, and depth. Betrayal sharpened your discernment, teaching you to recognize intent without becoming hardened. Closed doors refined your character, stripping away dependence on access and approval. Elevation was taking place quietly, even when it appeared nothing was moving. Heaven often does its deepest work in hidden places, where ego cannot interfere and applause cannot distract. The unveiling of your crown could not come early, because weight without readiness collapses the carrier. Fire purified your motives. Silence strengthened your inner voice. Loneliness anchored your dependence on God rather than people. What felt like stagnation was actually stabilization. What felt like loss was alignment. The polishing process was meticulous, because what you carry now must endure pressure without fracture. This is why you can stand without bitterness, speak without resentment, and lead without insecurity. The crown was shaped in moments no one saw, when obedience cost you comfort and integrity cost you opportunity. Now it rests securely because it was earned through refinement, not rushed through ambition. Fire did not remove you, it revealed you. You are entering a season where access responds to authority, not effort. Doors are opening without knocking because rank recognizes rank. God is opening what no man can close, and closing what no longer aligns with where you are seated spiritually. You are being placed in rooms you once believed required permission, introduction, or explanation. Influence is replacing introduction. Presence is replacing credentials. Your name is being mentioned in rooms you have never entered physically because authority travels faster than visibility. This is not favoritism, it is alignment. You are no longer striving to be seen, you are being positioned to be effective. People sense reliability, stability, and leadership before you speak. Opportunities are not chasing your talent, they are responding to your assignment. Doors that once intimidated you now feel familiar because your spirit recognizes the territory. Access is effortless when identity is settled. You are not forcing your way forward. You are being ushered. This is what happens when heaven endorses movement. What opens now opens cleanly, without manipulation or exhaustion. The doors responding to you are not temporary, they are strategic. This season is not about reward, it is about restoration. Royal energy is returning you to who you always were before disappointment, delay, and warfare distorted your self-perception. You are not becoming something new, you are remembering something ancient. Life is catching up to prophecy. Your outer reality is beginning to reflect your inner alignment. Presence is turning into performance naturally, without strain. You no longer feel like you are wearing borrowed confidence or borrowed authority. Everything fits now. Identity is aligning with destiny, and the dissonance you once felt is dissolving. Restoration does not exaggerate, it stabilizes. You are no longer overcompensating, shrinking, or oscillating between extremes. You are centered. This is what happens when royalty is restored internally. It expresses externally, without effort. What once felt fragmented is integrating. What once felt delayed is synchronizing. You are standing in your name, your voice, and your assignment with quiet certainty. Restoration is not applause, it is peace. And from this place, everything else begins to align. What you are experiencing now is not a beginning, and it is not a restart, it is a revealing. Heaven does not rush installations, it confirms them. This is the season where what has been prepared in private is acknowledged in the spirit realm as active and operational. Angels are shifting assignments around you, not because you asked, but because alignment has been achieved. Gates are being guarded, pathways are being cleared, and resistance is being rerouted because your placement has been finalized. This is not about visibility alone, it is about authority being recognized. Your outer life is beginning to mirror your inner authority, which is why situations are resolving themselves without prolonged struggle. You are not called merely to observe the kingdom or admire its structure. You are called to legislate it, to enforce divine order where confusion once ruled. Heaven's coronation does not come with noise or spectacle, it comes with precision. Suddenly, things that required effort now respond to instruction. Chaos yields to calm. Delays give way to execution. This is installation, not initiation. You are standing in a role that has already been rehearsed through years of obedience, endurance, and refinement. Heaven only installs what it trusts, and trust is earned in silence. You may not feel dramatically different, but you will notice that outcomes are different. Authority has settled. Assignment is active. Coronation is complete. There was a reason your circle became smaller, and it had nothing to do with rejection, and everything to do with qualification. Not everyone is permitted to witness a crowning, because not everyone has the capacity to honor authority without resenting it. Sacred silence surrounded you because elevation requires insulation. Pruning was not punishment. It was preparation for rulership. God removed distractions, unhealthy attachments, and familiar voices that would have interfered with clarity. This season taught you discernment over popularity, depth over exposure, and obedience over applause. Silence strengthened your inner hearing. Separation protected your oil. You learned that access to you is a privilege, not a right. The smaller your circle became, the clearer your vision grew. You were not isolated. You were consecrated. This is why you no longer fear being misunderstood. You have learned to trust God's voice above the noise of opinion. Sacred separation refined your leadership posture, teaching you how to stand alone without becoming lonely. Pruning creates space for authority to expand. What was removed made room for what is now being released. Your influence is no longer confined to crowds, numbers, or visible metrics. You have stepped into dimensional impact, authority that reaches beyond applause and operates in realms unseen. Presence now outweighs performance. You no longer need to impress, because your alignment speaks before you act. Royal energy does not compete for attention. It builds thrones for others. You are becoming a gate through which wealth, favor, wisdom, and opportunity flow, not just for yourself, but for those connected to your assignment. This is leadership that multiplies rather than consumes. Dimensional influence changes atmospheres, not just opinions. It alters systems, not just conversations. What you release now carries generational consequence. People may not always understand why doors open around you or why provision follows you, but it is because your authority operates beyond visibility. You are not chasing platforms. You are becoming one. This is impact that does not require constant explanation. It is felt, not forced. Applause fades, but dimensions remember. You may notice that people are drawn to you without being able to explain why. Favor is no longer something you pursue. It is pursuing you. Opportunities are appearing unexpectedly, and timing is aligning without excessive effort. This is divine magnetism at work. When authority is settled, spiritual law shifts in your favor. You are no longer striving against resistance. Alignment is doing the work. Conversations open doors. Presence attracts provision. What once required persistence now responds to positioning. Favor is not random. It is responsive. It responds to obedience, maturity, and alignment. This is why things feel lighter, even when responsibility increases. Heaven is backing your steps. You are not forcing momentum. You are following it. Divine magnetism does not announce itself. It reveals itself through ease, accuracy, and effectiveness. You have transitioned from begging to decreeing, from hoping to commanding. Your speech now carries sanctioned authority because it is rooted in alignment, not desperation. Clarity has replaced confusion. You no longer second-guess decisions that are made from discernment. Heaven is infusing your choices with wisdom beyond logic. When you speak, things move. When you decide, paths open. This authority does not make you reckless. It makes you precise. You no longer act from fear or urgency. You act from instruction. Walking by command does not mean rushing. It means responding. Your words are measured, intentional, and effective. Authority in speech does not shout. It establishes. And because your decisions are partnered with heaven, they carry peace, even when they require courage. You are no longer asking for permission to become who you already are. You are operating from assignment, not approval. A clear line has now been drawn between who you were and who you are, and that line cannot be crossed again. This is an irreversible shift, not because you force change, but because authority has settled into permanence. The looping seasons that once repeated lessons, patterns, and delays have ended. You are no longer revisiting the same terrain to prove endurance. You have graduated from it. Regression is no longer an option, not because you are striving forward, but because royal energy governs differently. What governs multiplies. What survives repeats. You have moved from maintenance to dominion. Old triggers no longer control your reactions. Old fears no longer dictate your decisions. Even when challenges arise, they arrive on a lower level, unable to access who you have become. This promotion is not seasonal. It is permanent in spirit and truth. Heaven does not demote what it has installed. You are being governed by clarity instead of confusion, authority instead of emotion, discernment instead of impulse. The shift is quiet, but it is absolute. You are not trying to stay free. You are established in freedom. Forward movement is now natural, not forced. Advancement is no longer something you chase. It is something you carry. The cycle-breaking power resting on you is not only for your life. It will ripple through every environment you enter. What ended here will not reappear later, because identity is changed. And when identity changes, cycles lose access. You have reached a place where explanation is no longer required. You are no longer proving, defending, or persuading. You are simply being. Embodiment has replaced announcement. Presence has become evidence. Silence now carries more power than arguments ever did. You do not need to narrate your authority. It introduces itself. This is the maturity of royal energy, when who you are speaks louder than what you say. You have learned that not every truth needs to be defended, and not every misunderstanding needs correction. Your life is the clarification. You are becoming a beacon, not a performer. Influence is flowing naturally because alignment does not require effort to be felt. This is why people either rise around you or quietly fall away. Embodiment demands alignment from others. You are no longer shaped by reactions. You are shaping atmospheres. Explanation belongs to transition seasons. Embodiment belongs to rulership seasons. You have crossed that threshold. Now your stillness carries instruction, your consistency builds trust, and your presence brings order. You are not hiding. You are resting in authority. And rest is the highest form of confidence. Your elevation was never meant to terminate with you. Covenant overflow is now activating, releasing blessings that reach beyond your personal story into family, lineage, and legacy. The warfare you endured was not only personal, it was generational. You were contending with patterns, limitations, and cycles that predated your awareness. That is why the resistance felt disproportionate. But endurance has been rewarded. Heaven honors tears, sacrifice, and obedience that were sown in silence. What you are stepping into now will unlock provision, healing, and opportunity for others connected to you, some of whom may never fully understand what it cost. Your obedience is rewriting narratives, restoring what was lost, and establishing what was never previously accessible. This is recompense, not coincidence. What was withheld is being returned with increase. You are becoming a point of convergence where blessings flow through rather than stop at. Covenant overflow does not shout. It stabilizes generations. The impact of your elevation will be seen in children, decisions, resources, and spiritual awareness far beyond your immediate view. This is legacy activated. You are no longer reaching outward to expand. You are expanding from within. Your realm is growing, because your capacity has increased. Access codes are changing. Doors are no longer generic. They are tailored specifically to your assignment. Old garments, old roles, old limitations, old identities are falling away because they no longer fit who you are now. Visibility is no longer optional. It is required for the throne you occupy. Manifestation is not striving. It is alignment becoming visible. You are not forcing outcomes. You are allowing what has been established in the spirit to appear in the natural. Expansion feels natural now, not overwhelming. You are not scattered. You are focused. Every new opportunity aligns with your authority rather than stretching you thin. This is sustainable growth, not chaotic increase. What is manifesting now has longevity because it is rooted in identity, not ambition. From the very beginning, you carried influence, even when you were hidden, overlooked, or misunderstood. Royal energy was sensed long before it was seen. People reacted to you before they understood you, because authority speaks before language does. Now the unveiling is complete. Heaven has spoken, and earth must respond. What was once internal is now visible. What was once whispered is now declared. This is the era where royal energy meets divine results, where alignment produces manifestation, and authority produces peace. You were never called to merely survive cycles, endure pressure, or fight endlessly for position. You are here to reign, to govern, to establish, to build. Let this final declaration seal itself within you. You are not an accident, you are not late, and you are not ordinary. You are here by divine design, carrying royal authority, walking in irreversible alignment. You are here to reign, not survive. Amen.